If you want to see the next session, personally, I'm calling it the Dirk and Bob show, or the Bob and Dirk show. And I'm a little bit scared because I'm not sure exactly what these two are going to do. And if you let them loose in a room, who knows? So all I can say is
Dennis,
if you're
Dennis,
if
it's always good stuff. Come on.
if you're interested in this one, stay tuned.
Or Ken are going to show off in a couple of minutes two documents that the district isn't aware of as to their importance as it relates to virtual meetings and maybe even traditional growth meetings, right? So the one document that they don't have, I'm just going to share it with you right now, is right here, and it's the 5 steps, if you will, that I sent to all the club members of the Club of Okotoks, because I and another guy are the membership committee of Okotoks, and that same document is going to be revised for the next 3 trainings, which is Northmount, Chinook, and Airdrie. Starts off with saying there is little doubt that a virtual membership drive is more successful than a traditional open house. Why? Because the public is much more comfortable meeting with us from the comfort of their own home as compared to being in a room full of strangers. The first thing on there is probably the most important thing, and it's called prospect lists. We address this in 2 different ways with the Okotoks endeavor. Friends and business associates, personal Facebook lists, and boosting to a demographic group. And that was really done by all of the members together with the membership committee, right? We then had the membership committee say, we have to create the bigger lists, the cold lists, the members of business organizations, the owners of businesses. But at the end of the day, we had 60 or 70 names and about 75% participation of the members of our club. And I now attribute that to an email I created where I made, I did it intentionally. I made the members uncomfortable, okay? Made them uncomfortable, sent the email list out, and all of a sudden it worked. And I'm suggesting that we include, I don't know who's going to do it. Could be me. It could be the membership chair. It could be the lieutenant governor. When you're starting to create these, the demand from your members to get prospect lists, there's 3 comments or questions that have to be asked, right? And it's going to get into their faces. And some people might take offense to these 3 questions. I don't think they should. Here's the first one. Somebody likely invited you, most of us, to join Kiwanis. Why shouldn't we return the favor? The second one, and this is where it gets touchy. How do you think your friends and business associates feel about you not asking them to join Kiwanis? Do you think that they think you might think you're better than them? And so the last one has to do with what we all do. And this is what Terry's members are going to go through now, right? We all, when it comes to membership, prejudge our friends and business associates as to whether or not we think they are suited for Kiwanis. So rather than invite them, you do nothing. One way to ask yourself if any of your friends and business associates, right, should be invited or should not, right, is ask yourself the question, are any of these friends and business associates proven axe murderers? And if they are a proven axe murderer, then please don't invite them. That point, those 3 points, got across to all of our members. And instead of having 2 members participating, we had 3/4 of our members participating in creating prospect lists And we made sure that they knew, right, that we, the membership committee, were not going to interfere with their personal lists. Because the members might be concerned that Bob is going to do something really, really bad to that person, that friend of theirs, if Bob contacts them. So we left it up to them to make contact, but we gave them the tools, which we're about to discuss, to make that contact. So here's the first and second tool. I don't know who's going to show them, but the first one's the
I'll share.
invitation.
Which one do you want me to share first, Bob?
The FB invite.
Oh, the invite. Okay, bear with me for just a second, and I will find that.
Because it could be done by Facebook or by email.
Right.
I think it starts with FB, Dennis.
Yeah.
For Facebook.
Coming up right now.
Okay.
There you go. Can everybody see that?
Yeah. So this was not a membership committee design. No, Dennis, go back to the other one.
Oh, sorry, right there. Okay.
Yeah. So this was done by a young gal from our club whose profession is branding. Okay. We thought that we had something really, really good, which is a future document, okay, called the newsletter. And she said, no, there has to be something ahead of it that you can refer to all the time, right? This doesn't talk about Kiwanis. You know, our prospects to a degree know who Kiwanis is. We're just inviting 50 or 60 or 70 people to come to a meeting. Okay? So that is new, and it's made to look like Kiwanis, right? It's got a look to it. Dennis, the next one. Okay. Now, this is that same document, but extended. Okay. And this is a postcard, right, or hard copy, right, that people use to hand out physically to potential prospects. Lena Ong volunteers at the food bank. She handed this out to fellow volunteers. 4 of them showed up at the virtual meet and greet. 2 of them joined. And all she did was let them read it and ask them for their email address. Now comes the most important document of all that we've never had in the Western Canada District to this degree. Dennis, the newsletter, please.
Okay. Coming up, my friend.
Thank you. So folks, this is 2 pages, and it's a real-time look at what your Kiwanis Club looks like. It's almost as though you create a brochure every time you do this, but this can be done literally overnight if you have somebody in your club that can do Publisher or some other software program, right? So all of that discusses is the projects that you have been involved with or are involved with, right? Now comes the key to this document. Take a look at other possible projects. I want to talk about this for a minute or two, okay? This means that your board has gotten together and said to themselves, what would we look like with another 5 to 10 new members? What does these prospects of ours that are going to show up at that meeting think of Terrific Kids or the Bicycle Rodeo? What do they think about our existing projects? So we are inviting, by way of this newsletter, we're inviting comments from our prospects about what we are about to do if they join our club. I call this section the Dare to Dream portion, and the Dare to Dream portion addresses another fairly serious problem in Western Canada or in any district. And that's any club that is ashamed of where they stand as it relates to service projects. they are really, really afraid to invite people to their meetings, right? Because they are not proud of their club. However, if their board created a document like this and said, what would we look like with another 5 to 10 new members, and put this together and then send it out, right? And basically said, hey, to the prospects, we want to grow. We want your help to grow. We want you to know what we think, what you think about these new projects that we want to take on, right? They will get new members, right? So this newsletter then, never been done before, folks, right? In this fashion, right? In effect, replaces a club brochure, doesn't it? The last one I'm not going to show you, right, is what was the close in this to get people to come to the meeting, to get the prospects out. So first of all, we had the invitation, then we had the newsletter, and then we sent out a third request for these prospects to show up, announcing two things: our guest speaker and her resume in this case, and a request for a confirmation of showing up. So that each prospect then was contacted by way of a group mailing list, right? 3 times. And we use the BCC category to make every one of the contacts feel that they were the only one being contacted. That's just a bit of marketing 101. So I'm suggesting that this pattern of 3 contacts works. I'm suggesting that we have to ask the members some pretty serious questions to get them out of their comfort zones. And that's the first part of Dirk and I's presentation. So over to you, Mr. Bannister, and then we'll answer questions if there is any. Dirk, you're muted.
There you go. Gotta unmute yourself.
Okay, so Bob has got you to get them to the room. What I'm going to do is give you some suggestions. We haven't got a lot of time today, so I'm not going to walk you through a script for either an in-person discussion about joining the club, we call that the close, or a phone invitation. But what I am going to do is give you some general pointers about having that conversation with a prospective member. I will email you some sample scripts if you'd like them. Contact either Governor Rowland or Secretary Dennis. Give them your email. They'll get it to me, and I will give you. And the same with Bob if you want copies of that information he showed. So, in the discussion, no matter whether it's in person, or whether it's on the phone, there are certain rules of engagement that you need to be aware of. And one of them is, the first one is this: you're invading their space and their time. People, essentially, especially we Canadians, have a zone in which it is not wise to cross. You don't get too close. It's a different, if you're in the United States, they don't have a problem with that sort of thing, but we do. So you basically don't cross that line. The second one is this: be respectful of their time. If you see that they're more interested in something else, don't push it. On the phone, remember that they may have other commitments. When I was doing this for a living, one of the things that we used to deal with was this: to get 25 people to belong to a Kiwanis club, when you were building one, you had to talk to 200 people. So if in fact you are worried about rejection, or then don't get involved in this. Have someone else do it, because don't take it personally. They will all say Kiwanis is a good organization to belong to. It's just sometimes not for them. Be respectful of their decision. You're not getting a commission here, nor do we want to be seen as phone salesmen. If they say no, it means no. So don't push it. Number 4, be sincere. Your enthusiasm for Kiwanis will cover up a lot of multitudes of hesitation and whether or not you know how to close a sale. People are attracted to other people who feel confident and enthusiastic about a project. Number 5, the biggest difference between a phone call and an in-person chat interview is your inability to read the facial expressions. So you're going to have to listen for verbal. uh, uh, Bob is way better at this than I am, and anybody who's in sales knows that when you're approaching and talking to a subject about a product or whatever it is that you're trying to sell, you get feedback from the way people are not necessarily reacting verbally to you, but more by how they're reacting with their body language. And lastly, and most important, and this is where a lot of people make an error, when you discuss whatever presentations, if you're having a meeting night that Bob has got you to get them there, and you're showing information about Kiwanis, don't just ask the question, well, did you like that? Because more than likely the answer to that is going to be yes, we did. Because first of all, there's a lot to like about Kiwanis. We do worldwide service projects. We work with kids. We make our communities a better place. So they won't say no. But more importantly, what you need to do is narrow that down. What did you like then about that presentation? And from that point on, you've got them talking about a particular thing that your Kiwanis Club is doing. And at that point, you can just forget about anything else that was in the presentation and concentrate on that. And in the end, you're basically saying to them, would you like to be a part of that project XYZ, whatever XYZ is? And that is a lot easier for you to talk about because you know more about the painting the fence project, whatever it is that your club is doing, than you might know about the worldwide aspects of our organization that one or two of us on this panel might know more about. Most people don't care. What they want to know is, what can I do in town? Now you have the basis for giving them that information. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about before, and then we'll open up for questions, is the objections that there's 5 basic objections that people have when you're talking to them about belonging to our organization. And I've got some answers for you. The first one is, I'm pretty busy right now. Well, the answer to that one is, well, that's one of the reasons why we called you or we're talking to you. Kiwanis needs people who are willing to get involved in the community service, and we find folks like you make great members. The second one is, well, I don't know very much about Kiwanis. And your answer to this one is, well, that's okay. We find a lot of folks don't know about us either, which is true. And you all know that. You've all said that, and I've all heard you say that in various different presentations that you've made. One of the things that you have to remember is, as Bob said to you before, somebody asked you to belong to Kiwanis. At that point in time, you probably didn't know anything about it either, and yet you joined. So the answer basically comes down to, we've been doing community service for 120 years, and whatever it is in your town for whatever number of years that you've been in existence, your club has. The third one is, are there meetings? People don't like meetings. You basically say, well, our club gets together whatever times a month for planning upcoming events and to hear from community involved speakers and presentations. If you serve on the board of directors of our club, somewhere down the road, there may be an additional meeting as well. Meetings are not mandatory. We would rather have members do service work than come to meetings. So yes, there are meetings, but we're here because we're building our community. The other question that we used to get a lot of, I don't know about now, but was, aren't you guys a secret society? Well, the answer to that is quite simply, the men and women who are members of the Kiwanis family belong to registered societies in the province or country that they are in. Membership is open to anyone 18 years of older, and we have clubs in high schools, junior high schools, and universities. And the last big one is, and never forget to talk about this if they don't ask it, because so many times people will join our organization and then find out there's a cost. Get it out up front, because it saves you a lot of time and it will save you money, because you may have to pay and then they may not pay you, and you're out the joining fee, which of course is going to disappear at the end of this year anyway. But you basically say something to the effect of, there are dues that to belong to Kiwanis. They are used to provide insurance for our members during public events such as fundraisers or service projects, directors and officers insurance as well, so your board is covered. The club has a few costs such as postage and the organizational help and assistance to folks like that. And then you basically say, my club dues are whatever they are, payable each October. Basically, you would not be paying dues to Len. So people who join a club before October 1st don't pay dues. They may pay a joining fee after October 1st. We understand that there will not be a joining fee. And basically, you tell them right now that there's X number of dollars to join the club. So those are the 5 basic objections to belonging to Kiwanis that you get when you're talking to people. As I said before, I can send you scripts that have been developed over a period of time to work with people on the phone and in person. It's easier to do it a script from a paper on the phone than it is in person. But I can be reached at dirkbannister@gmail.com or 403-912-2733. And Bob, you can be reached at where?
Bob Morrison at shaw.ca.
There we go. So, see, Dennis, that wasn't so bad, was it?
Perfect.
Dennis, one quickie.
Yes.
It's an apology to everybody that might be listening and to you. We've got guests from Camrose that are leaving tomorrow morning. So after the question period here, if there is one, I'm going to bow out. Is that okay? You can find me. You can find me.
Yeah.
You can find me.
No worries, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? We've got about 8 minutes.
Hey, Bobby, we did good.
I have one comment. Just from our most recent one, some of the prospective members that we invited, Bob, we heard back from one that said, well, I don't understand why I have to pay a fee to volunteer, which you do get. We get that quite a bit as to, well, why do I have to pay something to volunteer? So we went back to that prospective member and said, certainly, if a person is just looking for volunteering, there's lots of opportunities to volunteer. I know a number of our clubs have what they call Friends of Kiwanis, or you might want to call it something different, but it's a group of people in the community that don't necessarily want to be a full-fledged member of the club, but they love what you're doing and they want to volunteer, and you have their contact information. Stuff comes up, you reach out to them. But in this case, we went back to that prospective member and basically said, you know, part of being a member of the organization is you've got a front row seat to the direction that the club is going to be going in the future. Some of the projects that we want to get involved in. New members like yourself, if you're talking to a prospective member, brings new energy, new ideas to the club, something that we maybe not have thought about that's needed in the community. So there's a lot more to it than just, you know, being a volunteer in the community. Just my thoughts.
And that's true. And the biggest thing you must be very careful when people talk to you about the cost of belonging to Kiwanis. Be upfront, be honest, and tell them, because one of the biggest reasons that people leave our organization after first year is that, well, nobody told me there was going to be this much money to, you know. And if your club has dinner meetings or food meetings, make sure that they're aware that we're going to have lunch. And I don't know whether Seth, Terry, do you still meet at the Bessborough? I know lunch can be very expensive at the Bessborough.
No, well, this year we don't, but we did up until COVID, which cost us $20 a week and $3 to $4 to park, in addition to our dues. So
here's something new for you that Dirk could have used in his last objection, and it goes like this: whether I have to, you know, when they're talking about the money that they have to pay, okay, or why would I join this organization? The benefits of membership are substantially worth more, right, than the cost of membership. And this word benefits now has to be on the table, doesn't it? Okay. Well, we have produced a document called the Benefits of Membership in Kiwanis. And we gave it to all of our members, and it's available to any of you. And whether you verbalize this or send it to them by email, here's a couple that a lot of males, at least in traditionally, are afraid to talk about. And guess what? We shouldn't be afraid to talk about things like the following benefits. One, right, the lump in your throat when a child says thank you. Two, business connections. Three, friendships that last forever. And the list goes on and on and on and on, right? And at the very bottom of the benefits list, right, the question is asked of the prospect, what is the value to you and your family of all these benefits? And by the way, folks, it's way more than $200. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yep. See, Dennis, we tag team them.
Yeah, you did excellent work. And as they mentioned, if anybody on the session here is looking for some of the specific information that they talked about, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly at the wecansect@gmail.com, the district secretary's email, and we'll make sure that we get that stuff out to you. Any other comments? We're closing up here on noon, so.
Yeah, I just want to say that we've used these. We use this at in Cochrane. We're going to use this process in Northmount. Okotoks, you've used it, and so far success all around. So I think at the moment with your club, Dennis, and our club in Cochrane, and I think it's produced 13 or 14 new members for the three clubs in the last month and a half. So it works. It really works.
I'm going to leave now, Dennis, and I want to thank the district for allowing me and Dirk to participate.
Yeah, we're just going to actually close stuff off here now. We got a couple minutes before a few minutes before we end up. So this is our last session under the membership stream. I do want to thank Dirk and Bob for their time and joining us today and sharing some of their insights. We really appreciate that. So everybody now will